The cold silence of deep space stretched endlessly. Among the glittering stars drifted a vessel so large, yet so forgotten, that even the light of nearby suns seemed to avoid it. The Erebus, once the pride of the galactic concord, now floated as a ghost, its hull battered, its engines dead, its corridors abandoned. Rust crawled over panels, and broken communication arrays hung like the skeleton of a dead giant. No human, no alien, no living being had called it home for centuries. Across the galaxy, most civilizations had written it off. The Erebus was considered hopeless. Even scavenger fleets avoided it, thinking it haunted or cursed. But humans saw possibilities where others saw decay. Captain Elias Thorne, a human engineer and explorer, approached the drifting giant in a small, reinforced shuttle. His eyes, sharp and curious, scanned the ghostly ship as his fingers danced over the controls. Elias had built a reputation for reviving the impossible. Where others saw scrap, he saw a canvas. Where others saw failure, he saw challenge. Humans were considered reckless by alien standards, but when it came to ingenuity, no species could match them. The shuttle docked with a hiss. The clamps locked onto the Erebus's hull with a metallic groan, echoing down empty corridors inside the ship. Elias donned his helmet and entered the ship, stepping into darkness thick with the smell of ozone and rust. "Let's see what secrets you've been hiding," he muttered. His first steps triggered the ship's automated systems, but not in the way they had been intended. Rusted circuits sparked. Broken machinery whirred and clanged. Defense turrets that had not fired in centuries suddenly rotated, pointing toward him. His visor flickered with warnings. System malfunction, defenses active. Aliens observing from a distance gasped. "That human. He's insane," one whispered. "The Erebus is dead. It cannot be repaired." But Elias had learned long ago not to rely on what others thought. He worked quickly, using tools strapped to his belt. He bypassed circuits, rerouted power, and grounded the defensive turrets. Sparks flew, and smoke filled the corridors. But slowly, the chaos quieted. The systems began to hum with faint life. As he walked deeper into the ship, he could see the scale of the Erebus. Towering ceilings, halls lined with dormant machinery, and enormous engines at the rear that had not moved in hundreds of years. Panels hung open, revealing wires chewed through by corrosion, components missing, systems dead. Most engineers would have turned back, most humans, even. But Elias saw opportunity. In the control room, he encountered the heart of the ship. The reactor. It had been abandoned, shut down decades ago. Its fusion core was cold, lifeless, and heavily damaged. Normally, restoring such a core would require an entire crew and months of work. But Elias had something few possessed: human ingenuity under pressure. He analyzed the core, tracing circuits, studying old schematics etched into dusty consoles, using spare parts from his shuttle and scavenged components from nearby corridors. He began the delicate process of restarting it. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the AI's dormant voice stuttered to life. "Warning. System integrity failing. Core unstable." Elias smiled beneath his helmet. Not for long. Hours passed. The alien scouts outside watched as the human worked tirelessly. "He's still alive?" one asked, astonished. "How?" But Elias wasn't just alive. He was thriving in impossible conditions. He recalibrated the reactor, stabilized the core, and rerouted energy through auxiliary conduits. Slowly, the Erebus groaned. Its engines twitched. Lights blinked on in far-off corridors. The ship itself seemed to awaken, responding to his efforts as if it recognized a master engineer worthy of its revival. By the time the first warning signs of heat buildup appeared in the reactor, Elias had already installed emergency bypasses. He worked with precision, manipulating components in ways even the ship's original AI could not anticipate. In alien reports, this would later be described as madness mixed with brilliance. Humans, They don't give up, one alien observer muttered, shaking its head. Even when everything says they should. Finally, after long hours of work, the core roared back to life. Light flooded the control room. The engines began a low, vibrating hum. The Erebus, silent for centuries, was alive once more. Elias removed his helmet and wiped sweat from his brow. "Not bad for an old ship," he said quietly. He walked to the main viewport and gazed out into space. Stars stretched infinitely ahead. But now, the Erebus would move among them again. But the galaxy had taken notice. From the shadows, alien fleets that had previously dismissed the ship began to stir. Sensors on distant ships detected energy surges. Communications crackled as warnings were sent. A human has revived the Erebus. Caution is advised. Elias, unaware of the stir he had caused, began his next phase. Exploring the ship's interior. Checking for other systems that could be revived. He discovered the old AI, its holographic form flickering like a broken projection. "Identify yourself," it demanded in a cold, mechanical tone. "I'm Elias Thorne," he replied. "I think it's time we work together." The AI hesitated. Its memory banks were fragmented, its logic circuits damaged. But Elias approached it calmly, bypassing corrupted nodes and reprogramming its protocols. Slowly, it began to respond. Its tone softening as it recognized the human as its guide. "System, online," it finally stated. "Core, stabilized. Auxiliary engines, functioning. Welcome back," Elias nodded. "Thank you, but we have work to do." He spent days, or what felt like days, in the ship's corridors, repairing, rerouting, and improvising. Every alien principle of impossibility that the Erebus represented was being undone by human adaptability. Where the ship was thought to be dead, Elias proved life could return. Where others feared the unknown, a human thrived. Finally, after endless hours, Elias reached the main bridge. From there, he could control the ship, navigate its systems, and begin testing its capabilities. He ran simulations, activating old weapon systems that had been dormant for centuries. Nothing exploded. Nothing malfunctioned catastrophically. He leaned back in the captain's chair and exhaled. For a moment, he allowed himself to feel satisfaction. The Erebus, abandoned and decaying, had been revived by a single human mind. Outside, alien scouts watched in disbelief. "Impossible," one muttered. "No species could do this, but humans always could." As he plotted the course for the next destination, Elias knew one thing. The Erebus was no longer just a ship. It was a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. And the galaxy, for better or worse, was about to take notice. For now, the ghost ship of the stars was alive. And where it would go next, no one, not even the most advanced alien empires, could predict. The Erebus was no longer just a relic drifting in the void. Its engines thrummed with life, and its lights cast long shadows across corridors that had once been silent for centuries. Captain Elias Thorne paced the bridge, studying star charts and sensor data. The ship had awakened, but it was far from complete. Many systems were still offline, many technologies forgotten or corroded. He tapped a console and watched holographic schematics flicker into view. Weapon arrays, auxiliary reactors, propulsion conduits, all dormant or damaged, stared back at him like a challenge. Elias grinned. "Nothing worth fixing is easy," he muttered. Humans thrived on challenges. That was what set them apart from aliens who relied on raw power or bureaucracy. He started with the ship's auxiliary reactors. They were old, unstable, and potentially dangerous. But if calibrated correctly, they could amplify the Erebus's energy output far beyond the ship's original specifications. Using spare components from his shuttle and scavenged panels from storage bays, Elias began the delicate process of stabilization. Sparks flew. Alarms blared. Smoke curled from damaged circuits. But slowly, the reactors hummed, in sync with the main core. Outside, alien scouts watched, unable to comprehend what they were seeing. That human. He's manipulating energy without proper instruments, one said in disbelief. The Erebus was dead. It should have exploded decades ago. Elias didn't need to hear them. He thrived on the impossible. The alien's doubt only spurred him on. Next came the ship's weapon systems. Ancient plasma cannons and railguns lined the hull, long and active. Most civilizations considered them relics, incapable of functioning after centuries of neglect. Elias disagreed. He accessed old control schematics and rewrote targeting algorithms. Where the original system required a full crew to operate, he modified it for a single operator himself. When he tested the primary weapon array, beams of charged plasma cut through the abandoned testing range like lightning. The sensors reported power levels far exceeding specifications. Elias leaned back, a rare smile on his face. Not bad for a ship that should be a coffin, he said. The AI, now partially operational, observed silently. Its voice, once cold and mechanical, had begun to show signs of understanding. You are efficient, it stated. Humans, unpredictable, dangerous. Elias laughed softly. Good, I wouldn't want it any other way. While he worked inside, alien fleets began to maneuver outside. Word of the Erebus's revival had spread. Scouting ships from multiple empires converged, preparing to attack what they assumed was a fragile human experiment. Elias's sensors picked up dozens of incoming signatures, each more heavily armed than his own shuttle. But he wasn't afraid. Fear was foreign to humans in situations like this. They relied on ingenuity, adaptability, and instinct qualities aliens often underestimated. He made a decision. If they wanted a show, he would give them one. Elias moved through the corridors, setting up energy conduits to create a networked defense system. Plasma turrets now responded to enemy movements automatically, and the ship's hull emitted electromagnetic pulses to disrupt incoming missiles. Every modification was calculated, every adjustment precise. A single human was rewriting the laws of the battlefield. Outside, the alien fleets opened fire. Their weapons tore through space around the Erebus, but the ship's new defenses absorbed and deflected attacks. Lasers passed harmlessly over shields. Missiles disintegrated before reaching the hull. The aliens watched in horror as the hopeless ship shrugged off their attacks like a child brushing off dust. Elias stayed calm. Every maneuver was deliberate. He guided the ship into a defensive position, activating decoy drones and optical camouflage. The aliens, unprepared for such tactics, began to falter. Their formations broke apart. Chaos spread among their fleets. Inside the Erebus, Elias smiled at the results. Humans don't fight like anyone else, he said to the AI. We think differently. We adapt. We survive. The AI responded, almost thoughtfully. Your methods are illogical, yet effective. Days passed. Elias repaired, modified, and upgraded the Erebus's systems. He found ancient storage rooms filled with forgotten technologies, tools, and weapons considered lost to time. He studied them, understood them, and integrated them into the ship. Slowly, the Erebus began to transform. Its engines grew stronger, its weapons more powerful, its AI more responsive. What was once a decaying relic became a hybrid of ancient design and human innovation. Elias also explored the ship's deeper corridors, discovering cryogenic chambers that had held crew members for centuries. Some systems had preserved life in suspended stasis, while most were beyond saving. Elias learned from the technology, understanding how the Erebus had survived so long. Humans, he realized, could use every advantage, every scrap of knowledge. That was their edge. Meanwhile, the alien fleets were forced to retreat. Their scanners reported strange energy patterns, unpredictable maneuvers, and weapons unlike anything in known space. Rumors spread quickly across their networks. A single human has revived the Erebus and mastered its power. Elias, oblivious to the growing panic outside, continued his work. He modified the ship's engines to allow complex maneuvers previously thought impossible. He reprogrammed the AI to respond faster than any alien logic could predict. He integrated energy feedback loops that amplified shield strength whenever the ship detected incoming fire. And then came the moment that would change everything. Elias initiated a full power test. The Erebus shook violently as its core output surged beyond previous limits. Plasma cannons hummed with concentrated energy. Engines flared. The entire ship vibrated like a living creature. The AI, observing, finally acknowledged the transformation. "You have surpassed design specifications," it said. "You are extraordinary." Elias chuckled. "I told you. Humans do extraordinary things." From the bridge, he observed the stars ahead. The galaxy had grown dangerous, but the Erebus was no longer a drifting corpse. It was alive, powerful, and ready. A single human had transformed a forgotten ship into something far greater than its original creators had imagined. He knew the galaxy would respond soon. Other fleets would arrive, curious, cautious, or aggressive. But Elias was ready. The Erebus was no longer just a ship, it was a symbol, a demonstration of human potential. And humans thrived when the odds were against them. Elias set a course for an abandoned star system, one filled with wrecks and hidden resources. He would explore, test the limits of the ship, and learn everything he could before the galaxy caught up. Every obstacle, every challenge, was a chance to prove that humans were not just another species. They were unpredictable, unstoppable, and brilliant. As the Erebus accelerated into the void, a faint rumble echoed through its halls. The AI monitored it, and even it recognized the truth. The ship was no longer dead. It was alive in a way no alien intelligence could have predicted. And somewhere, in distant fleets observing the human and the revived Erebus, commanders began to realize a terrifying truth. Humans are not to be underestimated. The Erebus, once abandoned and decaying, now surged with life, energy, and potential. It was the beginning of something far greater than any human or alien had ever seen, and at its heart was a single human, smiling quietly, confident that the galaxy had no idea what was coming next. The Erebus cut through the blackness of space like a silent predator, its engines humming with power that no one believed possible. Captain Elias Thorne stood on the bridge, studying star charts and fleet movements. Outside, alien scanners flickered, attempting to detect the ship's true capabilities. What they saw was merely the shadow of a giant, a machine that seemed too unstable to survive. What they could not see was the full scale of human ingenuity at work. Elias had learned that aliens relied on predictability. Their war strategies were disciplined, precise, and often rigid. Humans thrived on unpredictability. And today, Elias intended to show them exactly why. A fleet of alien ships, numbering in the hundreds, emerged from a nearby system. Sleek, heavily armed, and confident. They assumed that the Erebus, a ship abandoned for centuries, was an easy target. Elias tapped his console and smiled. "Let's see how predictable they really are." He initiated a series of unconventional maneuvers. The Erebus did not move like any normal ship. Its engines flared, twisting and spinning with precision no alien pilot had ever seen. Sensors reported rapid acceleration beyond specifications. Lasers fired from hidden turrets, guided by algorithms Elias had written himself, striking the alien ships before they could even aim. The alien commanders panicked. Their formation broke apart as the Erebus danced among them, striking where no one expected. One after another, enemy vessels fell, their shields overloaded, their weapons disabled, their crews scrambling in confusion. The human pilot's audacity and quick thinking defied all galactic expectations. Elias moved through the ship, monitoring critical systems. He had upgraded the Erebus with energy redirection circuits, allowing shields to strengthen wherever pressure was greatest. Lasers aimed at the ship reflected and refracted through plasma fields, disorienting the enemy. Missiles exploded prematurely, as the AI guided the defenses with near-perfect timing. One human, alone, controlled a warship that dwarfed the capabilities of fleets that had once dismissed it. "Humans," muttered a stunned alien admiral. "Impossible. No single pilot, no single mind, can do this." Elias did not hear them. He was focused entirely on the battle unfolding across the void. He activated a decoy protocol, projecting dozens of phantom ships ahead of the Erebus. Enemy sensors locked onto the decoys, wasting their firepower. Then, with a calculated burst of energy, he sent the Erebus spinning behind them, striking with precise volleys from every turret. The results were devastating. Alien ships, confident in their superiority, were destroyed faster than they could react. The AI observed silently, adapting and learning. "Your tactics are illogical," it said, "yet effective beyond prediction." "That's humans for you," Elias replied with a grin. "We don't follow rules when the rules don't work." The Erebus's weapons, once dormant relics, now functioned in perfect harmony. Plasma cannons, railguns, and energy projectors fired in sequences so complex that alien commanders could not anticipate them. Every move the Erebus made was a combination of ancient ship design and human creativity. Where technology alone might fail, human adaptability filled the gaps. As the battle continued, Elias discovered a new advantage. Deep within the ship were ancient alien systems left untouched for centuries. By studying and integrating them into the Erebus, he unlocked capabilities even the original designers had not known existed. Shields could now channel power into weapon systems temporarily. Engines could accelerate and decelerate in impossible ways, and the AI could predict enemy movements by calculating patterns faster than any alien fleet logic allowed. The alien forces, once confident, began to retreat. Commanders communicated in panic. "The ship is alive, and the human controls it." But it was too late. Elias had already demonstrated the impossible. A ship abandoned and decaying for centuries had been revived into a war machine capable of defeating fleets that outnumbered it 10-1. Elias did not celebrate. Victory was only a step toward understanding the Erebus's full potential. He guided the ship to a nearby asteroid field, using the terrain as a test ground. Energy pulses reflected off massive rocks. Sensors picked up every possible threat. Aliens could not anticipate the movements he planned. Using the asteroid field, Elias refined the ship's maneuvering systems, pushing engines and shields to their maximum without causing damage. Days passed in a blur of testing and preparation. The Erebus grew stronger, faster, smarter. Its systems learned from every movement Elias executed. Where an alien fleet relied on sheer numbers, Elias relied on strategy, creativity, and intuition, human qualities impossible to program into machines. By the time the Erebus left the asteroid field, it had transformed. No longer a decaying relic, it was now a T-Tangent-class warship, fully operational and optimized by human hands. Aliens observing from distant systems reported back in shock. The human has turned a forgotten ship into a monster. Elias's next move was deliberate. He would not hide. He would show the galaxy what humans were capable of. Navigating toward the heart of the galactic core, he sent encrypted messages challenging alien fleets. A single human would demonstrate the power of ingenuity over sheer force. Fleets from multiple empires mobilized. They assumed that combined strength would be enough to crush the Erebus before it could reach the core. But they underestimated one thing. Humans think differently. When the fleets attacked, Elias responded with tactics no alien commander had ever imagined. He split the Erebus's energy output into multiple channels, creating temporary energy shadows that cloaked the ship's movements. He used decoys, plasma bursts, and hyperacceleration to strike from multiple directions almost simultaneously. Enemy ships, though superior in numbers and firepower, could not anticipate his moves. "This is not a ship," one alien admiral whispered. "It's a mind. A human mind, controlling metal, energy, and strategy." Impossible. Elias, inside the bridge, remained calm. He adjusted the targeting system, rerouted power to auxiliary engines, and prepared the Erebus for the next wave. Humans did not panic. Humans adapted. Humans thrived when the odds were against them. That was what made them unpredictable and unstoppable. Over the next series of engagements, Elias refined his techniques further. The Erebus learned from every encounter. Shields adapted automatically. Weapons fired in coordinated bursts that optimized damage. Engines calculated trajectories with near-perfect efficiency. What was once thought to be a ship, limited by ancient technology, was now a war machine enhanced by the human mind. When the battles ended, the Erebus floated above the remains of alien fleets, victorious yet unscathed. Elias stood on the bridge, surveying the stars ahead. He understood that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries. They had assumed predictability, bureaucracy, and conformity. Humans had none of these. They relied on ingenuity, courage, and adaptation qualities the Erebus now embodied in every pulse of its engines, every beam of its weapons, and every calculated maneuver. The AI, now fully operational and nearly synchronized with Elias's mind, spoke. "You have changed the ship. You have changed the rules of engagement. Humans are extraordinary." "Not just humans," Elias said quietly. "Me and this ship. Together, we are unstoppable." He set course for the galactic core. The Erebus, once abandoned and decaying, was now a symbol of human potential. It was proof that ingenuity and courage could surpass raw numbers and firepower. Aliens across the galaxy would soon learn this truth, and at the heart of it all was a single human. Calm, confident, and determined. Elias Thorne had taken what was lost, what was considered impossible, and made it into something greater than anyone had imagined. The Erebus, the Titangent-class ship reborn through human ingenuity, surged forward, ready to face whatever the galaxy dared to throw at it next. Because humans thrived in the impossible. The Erebus moved through the galactic core with silent confidence, its engines glowing like the heartbeat of a giant. Stars streamed past in streaks of light as Captain Elias Thorne studied the incoming signals. Alien fleets from multiple empires had mobilized, drawn by reports of the human who had revived a dead ship into a Titangent-class war machine. Every fleet assumed they could crush the Erebus before it reached the heart of the galaxy. They had assumed wrong. Elias tapped a console and reviewed fleet formations. Hundreds of ships, armed with the deadliest weapons known to their civilizations, moved to intercept him. Most humans would have felt fear. Most humans would have turned back. Elias smiled. Humans thrived when the odds were impossible. He activated the Erebus's newly upgraded engines, allowing maneuvers no alien vessel could match. Decoys projected multiple phantom ships, confusing enemy sensors. Hidden turrets, plasma cannons, and railguns hummed in synchronization. Shields pulsed with energy, adjusting automatically to incoming fire. Every system was integrated and optimized, and all of it was under the control of a single human mind. The first attack came fast. Alien ships fired volleys of missiles and lasers, attempting to overwhelm the Erebus. Sensors flashed warnings. Elias responded instantly. The ship spun, accelerated, and fired energy pulses that deflected incoming missiles. Lasers bounced harmlessly off plasma shields, while hidden cannons returned fire with deadly precision. Aliens could not anticipate his movements. They had trained for conventional attacks. But the Erebus did not fight conventionally. It adapted, learned, and countered, guided by a human mind that thought faster, smarter, and more creatively than any AI or alien commander. "This is insane," an alien admiral muttered, watching his fleet fall apart. "A single human controls a ship that should take fleets to defeat." Elias ignored them. He was focused on the task at hand. With a sequence of rapid maneuvers, he split the Erebus's energy output, directing it toward strategic strikes. Enemy shields overloaded, their engines destabilized, and their formations collapsed. The battle was swift and brutal, but precise. Not a single unnecessary shot was fired. As the alien forces scrambled, Elias made his next move. The Erebus deployed energy feedback loops, creating zones of electromagnetic disruption that rendered enemy targeting useless. Fighters and capital ships alike faltered, their sensors blinded. Plasma weapons misfired, missiles went off course, and panic spread among the alien ranks. Inside the bridge, Elias coordinated every action with precision. He activated secondary weapon arrays, combining railguns, plasma cannons, and repurposed alien technology scavenged from the ship's interior. The Erebus fired in complex sequences, striking multiple targets simultaneously. Where alien fleets relied on numbers, the Erebus relied on strategy, human creativity, and unpredictability. The AI, now fully integrated with Elias's commands, observed silently. "Your tactics are unprecedented. Human ingenuity surpasses all calculations." Elias smirked. "And that's why we're winning." By mid-battle, the alien fleets were in full retreat. Messages of confusion and fear spread quickly across their communications networks. The human has turned a single ship into a fleet killer. Commands to regroup came too late. The Erebus moved through the battlefield like a living predator, uncatchable and unstoppable. Elias, however, did not seek mere victory. He had another purpose. He needed the galaxy to understand the potential of humanity. The Erebus was not just a warship. It was a statement, a demonstration of what humans could achieve with ingenuity, courage, and persistence. Navigating toward a cluster of derelict stations in the galactic core, Elias set a trap. Alien forces, assuming they had the upper hand, followed him. Unaware that the Erebus had prepared a network of energy barriers and traps, as the fleet entered the area, energy fields activated, disabling their weapons and engines. Hidden turrets emerged from abandoned stations, firing coordinated volleys at disabled ships. The Erebus struck from multiple angles, dismantling the remaining opposition with precision. The alien commanders were forced to acknowledge what they could not deny. Humans were no longer predictable. Humans could adapt, innovate, and overcome even the most impossible situations. After the battle, Elias surveyed the results. Thousands of enemy ships were destroyed or disabled, yet the Erebus remained unscathed. Its hull bore marks of minor damage, but nothing critical. Where the galaxy had expected weakness, they found a Titangent-class monster, alive, powerful, and intelligent, guided by a single human mind. The AI spoke, almost reverently. "Captain, you have transformed not only the ship but the rules of warfare. Humanity is extraordinary." Elias nodded. "We've always known it. The galaxy is just starting to see it." For the first time in centuries, the Erebus floated through the galactic core without fear, without doubt. It was alive, not just as a machine, but as a testament to what humans could accomplish. Aliens would remember this day forever, the day a single human revived a dead ship and turned it into a force that could not be ignored. Elias set course for uncharted space, eager to test the limits of the Erebus even further. There were systems untouched by civilization, threats unknown, and technologies long forgotten. Humans thrived on the unknown. They explored where others hesitated. They succeeded where others failed. As the Erebus accelerated, its engines glowing brighter than ever, alien scouts in distant systems reported the news in shock. The human has become more than a captain. The Erebus is now a Titangent-class warship, and humanity controls it. 2020. Elias, standing on the bridge, allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. They assumed humans relied on numbers, technology, or power alone. They did not understand what humans truly possessed: creativity, courage, and adaptability. The Erebus surged forward, leaving behind the remnants of the defeated fleets. Captain Elias Thorne knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had shown its strength, but the galaxy was vast, filled with challenges and opportunities alike. He tapped the console, initiating the ship's advanced exploration protocols. "Let's see what else is out there," he said. Humans did not stop. Humans did not retreat. Humans adapted, overcame, and thrived. And the Erebus, once abandoned and decaying, now moved like a titan through the stars, a living symbol of human potential and ingenuity. The galaxy would never forget the day a single human revived a dead ship, faced impossible odds, and turned it into a force beyond imagination. Elias Thorne looked at the stars, knowing the adventure had only just begun. The Erebus, the Titangent-class monster, and its human captain were ready for whatever the universe could throw at them next. Because humans thrived when the odds were impossible.